There's more to Tesla's updated and upgraded entry electric car than meets the eye. You can learn a lot about a car by paying attention to what its engineers fix with a mid-cycle facelift. In the case of the 2024 Tesla Model 3 Highland, the main upgrades focus on refining the old car's cabin, but if you look deeper, you'll find several small but meaningful suspension and chassis changes aimed at delivering more driving refinement. Combined, these improvements reveal how Tesla went after a more comfortable and quieter ride with the updated 2024 Model 3, building on the interior changes to create a more upscale feeling car. Softer springs and smarter suspension dampers. Both the standard range and long-range versions of the new 2024 Tesla Model 3 Highland ride on softer springs and new frequency response suspension dampers for a more comfortable ride than the old version offered. The shocks are a low-cost, low-tech alternative to adaptive dampers that still alter the damping force based on suspension inputs. There's no magic magnetic fluid or electronic valves at play here. Instead, the fluid flow through the valving changes based solely on pressure differentials inside the shock. Softer damping at low frequencies dissipates large, hard impacts from dips, heaves, and potholes using more of the suspension travel. Higher frequency inputs are dispensed with stiffer damping to reduce annoying jiggling and jostling over expansion joints or wavy pavement. Also called frequency selective damping, there's some clever engineering in this technology, but it's neither new nor exotic. Kony developed the idea in the late 1990s and claims it has put more than 1.5 million vehicles on the road with frequency selective dampers, and it's just one supplier among more than a half dozen companies with patents on selective frequency valves. A change of direction. Like the car it replaces, the 2024 Tesla Model 3 uses a variable ratio steering rack. As the driver dials in more steering, the car becomes more responsive. The idea behind a variable ratio rack is that slower on-center steering supports more relaxed and more confident straight-line cruising, while a quicker ratio near the end of the steering rack means the driver can use less steering lock for tight parking lot maneuvers. With the 2024 Model 3 Highland, however, engineers slowed down the steering across the range, meaning a driver needs to input more steering than before to make the same turn. Tesla wouldn't share the slowest and quickest ratios for the old and new car, but it did reveal that the overall ratio increased from 10.3:1 to 10.6:1. The goals with these changes are more linear steering response and better predictability and stability, particularly at higher speeds. The squeaky control arm gets the grease. The outgoing Model 3's front upper control arms have been a pain point for both Tesla and owners of the car. The cast steel arms seal the top of the ball joint housing with a plastic cap that's prone to cracking and letting water into the joint. Water eventually leads to rust problems along with squeaking, creaking, or clunking. You don't have to look hard to find owners griping about the problem in online forums. The 2024 Model 3 Highland's new forged steel control arm should hopefully solve this problem. The arm now has an enclosed housing for the ball joint with nowhere for water to enter from the top. And while forged steel will rust like any metal that contains iron, it will take longer to rust than the cast part. New front steering knuckles. This change is difficult to spot both in pictures and in person, but the 2024 Tesla Model 3's redesigned knuckles move the steering axis to deliver a more refined driving experience. Tesla says this change improves stability at high speed and under braking and reduces bump steer, which causes small steering inputs as the suspension soaks up impacts. New shoes. While our test cars wore European spec summer tires, US cars get a new standard 18-inch all-season tire for 2024. Last year's Michelin Primacy MXM4 and 235/45 R 1898 WXLT1 will be replaced by the Michelin Primacy All-Season 235/45 R 1898 WXLT0 when the Highland goes on sale here early next year. The T1 and T0 that appear on the sidewalls indicate both the old and new tires are customized to Tesla's specs. Michelin says the new shoes have a lower rolling resistance than the tires they replace, which should help contribute to a small improvement in the car's driving range. More squish in the Model 3 feet S-ish. Bushing are the unsung heroes of cars that both handle great and ride comfortably. When tuned properly, they provide enough stiffness for sharp, direct handling and enough compliance to take the edge off unwanted disturbances. Without saying they're softer, Tesla noted the bushings in the front and rear suspension and rear subframe are modified to reduce noise, vibration, and harshness, and improve ride comfort. In other words, they're softer. Trust us when we say that makes for a better Model 3. Backward brake dust shields. Can you spot the difference between the left and right photos? We're not talking about the paint color or the fact that the angle of the pictures is different. We're also not talking about all the changes we've already outlined. Check out the front brake dust shields on the red Model 3 Highland. These are installed backwards compared to most new cars and the outgoing Model 3. Tesla says it did this to improve cooling and reduce snow buildup and the chance of a rock catching between the shield and the rotors. Update. A previous version of this story erroneously reported the brake dust shields were improperly installed on our early build test vehicles. Tesla informs us the shield orientation was changed starting for 2024 due to the reasons listed above. We regret the error and have updated the story.